Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something we all deal with, and that's stress. But we're going to look at it through the lens of a really ancient, really powerful text that gives us a completely different framework for understanding it.
So let's just travel back in time for a second. The text sets a really vivid scene. Imagine a full moon night, clear sky, out in ancient India. The Buddha is there, surrounded by this community of monks, and you can just feel the silence, the sense that something really important is about to happen. And that's when he looks out at everyone and starts to explain this powerful method for contemplation. It's a whole new way of looking at the world, one that he says can lead you straight to freedom. And what's great is the text immediately asks the question that's probably on your mind too. Okay, so what's the point? Why should I listen to this ancient teaching? I love how direct that is. It just gets right to it. And the answer? It's just as straight up. The point isn't just to, memorize some facts. It's about learning an actual skill, the skill of seeing the world through what it calls dualities. And honestly, this idea is the key to unlocking everything else we're about to talk about. All right, so let's get into it. What is this core pattern? Think of it like a blueprint. Everything else in this teaching is built on top of this one idea, and it all centers on something every single one of us has experienced.
So the text uses the word stress, or dukkha, if you want the original term. But it's not talking about, being stuck in traffic or having a tough deadline. It's bigger than that. It's this fundamental underlying feeling of unsatisfactoriness. It can be a tiny bit of restlessness, or it can be deep, real suffering. It's this thing that's just kind of woven into our ordinary existence.
And here's where that duality thing comes in. It's a brilliant way to frame it. Stress isn't just this big, scary problem that exists on its own. Nope. The text says, for the problem of stress, there's a cause. And for the cause, there's a solution, a path to make it stop. See? It's a perfect pairing, problem and solution. And this is so important. This isn't just some intellectual exercise, right? It's not a philosophical game. The text is basically saying that everything depends on whether you get this, your whole life's path. Are you going to stay stuck in that loop of suffering, or are you going to find a way out? It all comes down to whether you can see this duality for what it is. Okay, so how does this actually work? How does this pattern play out in our own minds? Well, the text uses this same cause and effect duality to break it all down, to show us the step-by-step chain reaction that leads to stress. And it really is like a chain reaction, or maybe a set of dominoes. It's not just random bad luck. There's a clear sequence. It starts with just not seeing things clearly. That leads to wanting things to be different. That wanting turns into grasping, and boom, the final domino to fall? Stress. So that first domino is what the text calls ignorance. And we got to be clear, this doesn't mean you're not smart. It's not about what you know from books. It's a deeper thing, a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality works. The text calls it a great delusion, something that has us just wandering around lost. But here's the good news. Just like with any cause, if you remove it, the effect disappears. No ignorance, no stress. So that misunderstanding, that ignorance, it gives birth to craving. And you know this feeling, right? It's that constant if only. If only I had that job, if only this person liked me, if only I could get rid of this problem. That's craving. The text is this beautiful kind of sad way of putting it. It calls craving a companion that keeps us wandering for a long, long time. And right after craving comes clinging. This is where we actually grab on. We grasp on to our opinions, our identities, our good moods. We treat them like they're solid rock, like they'll last forever. But they're not. They're more like trying to hold on to a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers, and that whole process, that's stressful. Okay, so now we get to the part that is, it's really going to mess with your head. This is where the teaching takes our normal, common sense view of the world and just turns it completely upside down. It's a wild idea. First up, truth. The text says that all the stuff we think is true, who we are, our beliefs, our solid sense of reality, the wise see all of that as false. Now, why? Because it's all changing. It's all impermanent. The text says it's deceptive by nature. It's not what it appears to be. And if you thought that was weird, hold on. Here's the real bombshell. All the things that you and I chase after, the things we call bliss or happiness, good food, great music, happy feelings, the text claims that the wise see all of that as a form of stress. Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy, and even the text admits it. It says, see the Dhamma, hard to understand. The idea is that our entire compass for finding happiness is broken. We're running towards the very things that create subtle suffering because they're temporary and we cling to them. The text hints that real bliss isn't found in getting something new, but in letting go of the one thing we cling to the most, our idea of me.
So you have to wonder, right? After hearing this incredibly challenging teaching, what happened to those monks sitting there under the full moon? Was it just an interesting lecture?
Absolutely not. The text gives us a number, 60. 60 monks, in that moment, had their minds completely set free. That's not a metaphor. It just shows you how powerful this understanding can be when it really, truly lands. And here's the key to how they did it. Their freedom didn't come from gaining anything. They didn't add a new belief or get a secret piece of information. It was all about letting go. The text says their release came from a lack of clinging. So freedom wasn't an addition, it was a subtraction. Which brings us to the final thought this text leaves us with, a question we can take into our own lives. What if the very things we spend all our energy chasing for happiness are actually the source of our stress? What if the real path to what we want isn't about getting more, but about letting go? Something to think about for sure.